Hello, everyone. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks, episode 103. We're a podcast that talks about pop culture things, and sometimes there's whiskey. My name is John, and I am joined, as always, by Andrea. How's it going?
Hey, it's good. How about yourself?
Very good. Yeah, things are rocking. Oh, we got fitness trainer in the chat already. Mike,
Oh
thanks
my
for
goodness.
dropping
Hey.
in. Much appreciated. Tonight we are going to be covering just a few news stories. Couple interesting ones. A film I'm really excited for to talk about. And then in the latter half of the episode, we're going to be discussing the Apple TV Plus show Physical, starring Rose Byrne. And
Indeed.
Francesco T's in the chat as well. Welcome. So we'll be getting spoilery about Physical later, but that's later. So don't worry about it if you haven't seen that at that point. We will give more warning. Before that, drink holidays.
Indeed. There is a drink holiday today, although I'm not celebrating. I am celebrating what? The shock. I am celebrating an earlier day this week, April 14th. And I hope I'm saying this right, but it was Saison Day, I think.
Wow.
I looked it up. There was a little bit of debate whether it was Saison or Cézanne.
Okay.
So somebody at me and tell me, because I'm not shy about being corrected in that pronunciation. I am not of French descent. I have not taken French. So please help me. The only thing I know is that it means season. So it is a seasonal beer that you should be drinking. And I am drinking Kona's seasonal, which is a mango. I think it's called Landslide.
Okay.
I want to say. No, Magic Sands. It's Lanai season Magic Sands.
Okay. Cool.
So it's pretty good. Pretty
Hawaiian,
decent.
huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. I
Yes.
went to for my birthday. Ashley took me to a Hawaiian restaurant actually. So
Oh, fun. Where was that?
it's in it's the southern part of the Twin Cities, kind of Egan area, I guess, or whatever.
Okay.
I'm just gonna tell you the name of it because Pauhana.
Okay. I haven't heard of it.
I'd never heard of it. It's
Yeah.
delicious, like, as you might expect from a Hawaiian restaurant, to have some Japanese inspiration. There's also lots of gochujang things. Drinks were good. Savage, yes, thanks, Alan. That's where it is. It's in Savage.
Okay.
And it's right across from another great looking restaurant too. So it's like we gotta go back, give it another shot. But so yeah,
Nice.
Hawaiian. Good
That's
beer
cool.
choice.
I didn't even know that we had a restaurant that would be that specific in its cuisine. That's pretty cool, I think. Go Minnesota.
Yeah, right.
So yeah,
Very
so
good.
I am celebrating with a Hawaiian beer. But today is the 17th of April, and it is Malbec Day. If you are into that, if you're feeling like the Minnesota chill and snow and you want a nice wine in your evening, I'm sort of anti-snow. I'm pushing back against Minnesota's stupid weather and dreaming of warmer times.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not celebrating either, so thankfully you have us covered with yours. I feel like with my birthday week, I've had enough to drink in the last few days and such.
For
So
sure.
Ashley found this at the store, hadn't heard of it before. Nitro Pepsi. If I can get it
Nitro Pepsi.
yeah.
I'd say that can looks old school, but it doesn't even look old school. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't even look like a retro throwback can. It looks like
No. It's
new
it the
school.
Yeah, it does. It looks sufficiently hipster in a
Yes.
manner of speaking.
Mhm.
They're pulling in the coffee kind of elements to it.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, this is the vanilla version, and because she got the regular one and the vanilla one. Mike, fitness trainer, he's already mad at me. I swear, I haven't had soda on this show in how long? And now and now Mike jumps
Every
in,
time.
and
Every
now
time.
I'm back to I have a soda. This is,
Uh,
ah, ridiculous, but yeah, it's really creamy, it's really good, so
okay.
I'm stone cold sober tonight. Man,
All right.
uh, party pooper, I
Oh,
guess.
man. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to hold it down for the drink holidays and just the drinking.
Yeah, right? So, awesome. Well, our weeks hasn't been too
Yes.
long. We did our kind of odd timed episode last
Yes.
week.
Mhm.
So I guess we're shifting around a little bit, but yeah, what have you managed to do in the within the week?
Well, so because we had our episode last week, it was kind of top of mind for me. We were talking about Tony, or talking with Tony about, rewatching shows. And that sort of like got me thinking about like, oh, like I kind of feel nostalgic and I kind of want to rewatch a show. And then I realized that my favorite show in the entire world is celebrating its 25th anniversary this spring.
Oh, wow.
So I decided, you know what? Now's the time. I'm going to go on a true rewatching binge. And I am rewatching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And oh, it's so good. I
Is
love
it?
it. It
Is it?
is. There are
Ah,
definitely things that do not hold up, obviously
mhm.
technology wise. Like there's
Right.
just
Yeah.
there's no getting around that. There's no getting
Mhm.
around like watching stuff and being like, ooh, that's so
Transformations or
cringy.
something.
Yes, yes. Like the early parts of the seasons where like technology is clearly not cut up to where they want to go, and like the fights and the choreography is just like, oh boy, like you're taking a big swing and I know you're missing and I can hear that like punch sound, but it's very like
Yeah.
cartoon-esque. Um, but the storylines do truly hold up. There's also again some like cringe dialogue that you're like, oh, they're teens in high school, so they obviously have to use slang that's relevant for the time. And now you're like, ooh, that's a little terrible. But no, this is absolutely a show that holds up. And I love it so, so, so much.
Hmm. Well, okay. So this brings up an interesting question for me because I was thinking
Sure.
about it watching an anime the other day,
Hmm.
actually this morning, and it's where do we draw the line in giving something pass on production value or
Hmm.
story beats or whatever? Because is it we certainly give certain movies like we're talking about Marvel, we're talking about Hollywood production things because we know how much money is going into it. We don't
Yeah.
cut it any slack. Does
Yeah.
it doesn't, and so when you talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, made a long time ago, kind of judging it through the eyes of what it is and the time period it came out.
Hmm.
I mean, ultimately, it matters just if you enjoy it. But is
Right.
it fair to have that kind of judgment? I was watching an anime and they did this thing that if they had adapted it into real life, I'd be like, that dialogue would not fly. It wouldn't
Yeah.
fly. It was cute in this situation, in a kind of unbelievable way or whatever. But is it, I don't know, should I be pickier or is you just judge based on what, you know?
I think I give a pass. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you said, there's something to like if you enjoy something, you're always gonna give it like a little bit of extra grace. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
there's already that like favorable feeling, so you're just like, yeah, all right, like that wasn't a home run, but you
Yeah.
swung, good job. Um, I I just did, kind of in my little recap said like there are some cringe moments of dialogue that when I was first watching, I'm sure I was like, this is so cool. And then, now I'm like, ooh, yikes. Like that's not landing like you want it to now. Um, but I think at the essence of it is, me sitting there like being drawn in by the performances. Like these actors are like really drawing me in with both their performances of their characters and their relationships with one another and like the overall storyline. If I still feel it and I still feel it has like, resonance and it's still relevant, then yeah, I'm probably, gonna give a couple lines of cringe dialogue some pass. Um, there is a moment where I think you can hit saturation and it's like too many like moments where you're like, oh, it's so awkward and cringy and like this terrible dialogue and oh no, I have to fast forward. The second I think you get the real urge to like hit that fast forward button, that's when you're like, oh, you're just like taken out of it and you don't give it a pass anymore.
Okay. How far are you into the show?
In Buffy,
Yeah.
I'm already up to season 3. Season 1 is like insane short.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you know what I mean? So it just like goes. It's just like super quick.
I was
And
tempted to
then
say, like, we do, like, a rewind thing, and I watch
yeah,
it, and then we cover them or something like but
yes.
you're too far ahead now.
No,
You're
no.
already
Starting over. Starting over. It's happening. Oh.
I just feel like I see the podcast on the rocks, a rewind session, and it's a cassette
Yes.
tape and, rewind,
Yes.
and,
Dude, we have to do it. Like I just said, I decided to do a rewatch because it's 25th anniversary. Like,
yeah, so it is good
how awesome
timing.
is that? It is great
Mhm.
timing.
So, right, I think the last thing I said before you couldn't hear me was, "Where are you
Mhm.
watching this?" Like, what is it on Amazon?
It is, yeah.
Okay, okay,
Yep.
so
So
Amazon.
both Buffy and its spin-off Angel are available on Prime Video.
Okay.
You
I
get
I
I
will I will
mean,
give you I will and they're like 20-minute, 23-minute episodes, right? Fit in the half-hour block? No, they're full, like, 40
they're
something?
40, yeah.
Oh, okay. I will give
Although
you
season 1 might be more variable. Season 1 was just like I feel like they were kind of just testing the waters because so of course, the TV show is based off of the movie with Christy Swanson. So they were kind of, I think, testing the waters of like, how is this going to translate from this movie that was pretty successful and we're going to turn it into a TV show. So season 1 is just kind of like, let's just like do our thing, have some fun, see what audiences do.
okay.
And it
I
turned out
will
to obviously be quite the hit.
I'll give you 3 episodes. I'll watch 3 episodes and see what I think.
Ooh.
Is that it? That's not enough? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, so the first 2 episodes are like a two-parter.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's like
Is that like
starts out
pilot?
yeah, it's like a back to back. Like you definitely can't just watch one episode because it
Mhm.
would stop and you'd be like, "What the hell just happened?"
Hmm. Okay.
Which oh yeah, no, you gotta go to oh yeah. You gotta give me more than that.
How many? What do you what is it? What's the number?
I would say give me like to at least 4 or 5
Okay.
because those are some good ones. Yeah, yeah, it's so good. I love that show. I
All
really
right.
do.
Well, let's hear from chat. Everybody, chime in on the socials. Are you ready to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Yes.
Um, and should we be covering it? So,
Yes. Yes is the answer,
I was asking
obviously.
chat, Andrea. I know your answer.
Andrea sneaks into chat.
Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. Just create a whole bunch of bots right now.
Yep.
Yes, amazing. Buffy's so good. Besides, I
Yep.
mean, don't you wanna, like, obviously have the age-old debate of Team Angel or Team Spike? Because that is one of the
Well,
great debates.
from the outside, I would I would pick team you said Angel or Spike? That's his name?
Yes, yep.
I would say Spike.
Oh, we're already at odds, John. I'm Team Angel.
I I I feel like I don't like the look of Angel's face or something. Like it's just
Do you even know
he
what Angel's face looks like?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Isn't he doesn't he go on to be yeah, he's in a lot of this stuff, right? That actor?
David
Isn't he?
Boreanaz. He's the
Yeah.
lead in Bones. I think that's
Yes.
that's where a lot of people know him
Yeah,
from.
right. So, I heard he's a
Um,
jerk too. I don't know if that's true, but just that people that work with him are like, "Oh, he's not a nice guy."
Yeah, he's like a big practical joker, so I think he has some
Okay.
contentious relationships in like if you like that, then you get along with him, and if you don't, there can be some like butting heads for sure because he's a strong personality.
Okay.
But
Okay. Well, I mean, I could be wrong. I just think of kind of Spike as a little more, you know, Constantine kind of character from the way I see him.
oh, from the way you see his
Maybe
face,
yeah, yeah, just the way
yeah.
like you know.
It's funny because I have to say, I do love James Marsters. Like, I love that actor who plays Spike, and I love that he, like, I was talking a couple weeks ago, he's the narrator on, the Dresden File audiobooks, and I, along with many other fans, absolutely rioted when they tried to bring in somebody else because it was
Right.
like, "Forget that. He's amazing." But yeah, no, and I do love his character in the show. I'm not like team Spike when it comes to being with
Okay.
Buffy. So,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it could be a thing like,
yeah, you got to
it's
watch
too
the show for the context of it, but
right.
yeah, like from the outside I get like quick snap impressions like
Mhm.
Spike is cool.
Okay.
William the Bloody.
Okay. Um,
But
looks
anyway,
like
so oh, did somebody get a little yes no vote or
no,
say anything?
no,
All right.
nope, not yet.
So
Mike,
my
let us
bots aren't
know.
working yet.
The re yeah.
So yeah, so I obviously spent a good deal of time watching Buffy, and doing a little rewatch because I was feeling nostalgic. Speaking of feeling nostalgic, I'm gonna cut a little bit to some news because I also rewatched something else because
Mm,
sadly this week we all learned that Gilbert Gottfried passed away. And so I went back and rewatched Aladdin because that was my like first obviously big introduction to him.
right?
And I think probably a lot of people's. I was crushed though when Chris was like, "Who does he play in Aladdin?" And I was like, "You don't know?
Oh,
You don't know
yeah.
that he's Iago? Like, what is wrong?" Immediately he was like, "Oh right, duh." But yeah,
I wouldn't have remembered his name, but I knew it's the bird, so
I feel like I remembered Iago because it's a Shakespearean character, so like I was
mm,
naturally probably bound to remember it. But
yep.
yeah.
No, that's really sad, and we've lost so many
Mhm.
comedians of late,
Mhm.
you
Yep.
know? Him and Norm and,
Mhm.
um, who's the other couple? Oh, Full House dad,
Bob Saget.
Bob
Mhm.
Saget, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's just been it's been like 5 of them, so
Yeah.
it's too bad.
Yeah. Quit it 2022. Um,
Yeah.
and now, yeah, Aladdin was doubly sad because obviously Robin Williams voices the genie.
Mhm.
And it already felt like hard enough. I mean, I don't know that I quite, have the same connection to Gilbert Godfrey that I felt like childhood with Robin Williams, but it was definitely like, ouch, 1-2 punch here. But
Mhm.
it was still fun to rewatch and just like see that magic and be like, yeah, I'm gonna show this kind of stuff to Everett and she'll get to see
Yeah.
these at some point.
Yeah, I mean, certainly Aladdin is my Disney,
Hmm.
it's
It's our
Robin
era.
Hood and Aladdin. That's what I grew up on, was interested in,
Hmm.
and so I was gonna say that's peak Disney, but I don't know if that's the case. It's just what I'm familiar with, and
I don't know. I feel
you
like
know.
I feel like the '90s really were some like solid peak Disney.
Mhm. Well, we were going through that era where soon we'd have Pixar, and so we'd be
Hmm.
getting the computer animated,
Right.
and that's great, and it gave us a lot of awesome things, and then that, got brought in and all that stuff, and other companies started doing stuff like Shrek and whatever, but I don't know. As it goes on, we just, I feel like Disney doesn't hardly appreciate or understand animation at all anymore, so,
Hmm.
like, it really like, when this is what Disney did, and they were really good at it,
Hmm.
like, it was kinda like at that point in time, they were Nintendo. Nintendo, they know who they are, they know
Yeah.
what they
Yeah, I get what
do
you're.
and what they make, and people love it. and they love them for that. And they're not
Mhm.
like, you know, they're not expanding like, they're making a lot of money, but
Mhm.
they are slow to branch out into new territory.
Mhm.
Nintendo could have been making movies for years and years on their properties, and they're just like are just now going to do a Mario one. I mean, obviously they've had
Mhm.
that one before, which I don't. That's crazy how that happened, but um, you know, they've been really picky with it, and
Mhm.
really protective of everything. And
Right.
so Disney was in, I felt like they were in that time then. So
It was a golden era.
yeah, yep. So yeah, Aladdin. I mean, Aladdin still holds up, right?
It absolutely holds up. No question.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, so I spent this week pretty much in nostalgia and snuck one new thing in. I watched Welcome to the Ballrooms episode 2.
Okay.
So I was like, yeah, I need to move something forward this week.
Sure.
Even if I've watched all of Physical, which we'll talk about later, of course. I was like, I need one like new thing happening.
Hmm.
So I snuck in episode 2. It's still good.
Still good. All right.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, I was saying that I watched episodes 9 and 10 of Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. That's still enjoyable, still fun with every couple episodes, a new kind of, I won't say gimmick, but new problem to
Sure.
introduce. Um, Spy Family episode 2 just came out. I think it was Saturday. So every weekend, we'll get a new one. So
Mhm.
that's still really cute. It's really well animated. They have a intro that's sort of seems inspired by Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, okay.
There are just the time period it's set in has some things that are reminiscent of what Bebop would be, that sort of noir gangster kind of element.
Mhm.
So it kind of fits, even though it's a very different tone and all that. Um, so that's a good show. I'm excited to keep going on that every week.
Excellent.
Moon Knight had its third episode, so watch that. We'll be talking about probably episodes 3 and 4 next week.
Yes.
So I will save my comments. Arcane, still going through Arcane.
Yes. How are you liking it?
Yeah, it's really good. I kind of would like to be going through a little faster than we're managing to get through it. But it is, yeah, it's
In terms of the
gorgeous.
show's pacing or your pacing?
No, our pacing, just
Okay, okay.
getting the time, setting it up to watch
Sure.
it, because the production value is so high on it. I really
Mhm.
do want to sit down, the lights low and the sound up, and
Mhm.
the soundtrack is really really good.
Yes.
And it's that I think episode 3 was the sort of really tragic one.
Mhm.
Really gets things set up nicely for going forward.
Yep.
And yeah, just a lot of interesting stuff happening there. Punches not being pulled, so that kind
Mhm.
of thing. Yeah. Speaking of punches, watch a little UFC, and then physical. So that's kind of been the week.
Yeah, you're kind of all about the body there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. um. All right. Well, my week was a magical birthday week. So
Excellent.
let's talk about a very magical movie that is now in cinemas, and that being Fantastic Beasts and the Secrets of Dumbledore.
Mhm.
Dumbledore. Um,
Dumbledore.
yeah,
There's a
I,
throwback for you.
yeah, yep. Can't
If you
forget
know,
it.
you know.
Tommy. Right, right. I haven't been able to see it. I feel
Mhm.
like this is another one of those movies that, you know, a while ago I would have for sure made it to at opening, and just hasn't worked out right now.
Mhm.
Seems like some other people may be in the same boat or whatever, because the
Yeah.
opening numbers are not appearing to be particularly impressive.
Mhm.
Each Fantastic Beasts movie looks like it's open to less and less
Yeah, it's been
um,
bleaker and bleaker on
money.
the outlook.
Yeah. When
Yeah,
are you gonna get to this one soon, or?
I have to say I'm probably not. I've really been disappointed by the Fantastic Beasts franchise here. Um, and I think we've talked about it before about, movies having some misnomers in their titles. And we both agreed that, like, Fantastic Beasts doesn't really apply to the second and third movie in this
Right.
trilogy. And which is funnily enough what I noticed about a lot of the advertisements that were flying around recently. None of them said Fantastic Beasts. They just were like the Secrets of Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Coming so
Right.
trying to like kind of just like leave that off, I think. And sort of be like, forget that other stuff we did in movie 2 and that kind of wacky route we went. We're just like quick rebooting for the third.
Yep.
Um and yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see, I guess, where the trilogy ends up because the second part was such a hot mess and took us in like a lot of different random places without, I feel like, answering a whole lot. So my interest level is peaked enough to check out what happens in the concluding piece. Will not go to theaters to see it though.
Okay.
I'm not that interested
Hmm.
in getting out there. I think there are other things that I would rather see.
Yeah, it's um you're definitely right. We talked about the naming scheme and how it seemed really flawed to begin with. Show a
Mhm.
lack of foresight. And
Mhm.
that's to me is the most concerning thing is again, we have a saga that I think is supposed to be 5 movies set up with seemingly very little plan,
Yeah.
somehow. So, yeah, I don't know, or they see it seems rushed, that
Yeah.
you can't end up hammering out a script that's more understandable, more
Mhm.
logical.
Right.
Um,
Puts pieces together, yeah.
yeah, and we coulda just why couldn't it have been the Wizarding World's Fantastic Beast, the Wizarding World's The Crimes of Grindelwald, the
Mhm.
Wizarding World's, the Secrets of Dumbledore, and then
Right.
it could just leave that part out, it'd just be part of the logo, you just call
Right,
it, you
exactly.
know, as they're
Yep.
doing now anyways. Um, so, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really torn because I really feel like Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was a really great movie. Um, it's hard to watch a Harry Potter film and not watch Harry Potter, but I think the movie was endearing enough that like you were still like, "Oh, it's part of the world, like it's okay." Like, we're making a break from Harry Potter. Um, but we're still in that like magical realm and like everything made sense. The plot went well. And I almost just wish it would have just been this like one-off thing. And then if
Mm,
we really wanted to get into like Dumbledore and Grindelwald, like
a
I don't know
separate
how
trilogy.
yeah, I don't know how the lore goes, and I don't know that like Newt Scamander was really there.
Right.
Like don't at me if like J.K. Rowling was very clear that like Newt Scamander was helpful in all of this. But I kind of just feel like I wish it would have been separate. And as much as I love Eddie Redmayne and what he did in that first movie, kind of just feel like the story would be better served being separate.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I don't wanna throw out this one because the second one had such a big
was such
misstep.
trash, yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm sorry, I'm not pulling my punches. I felt like it was just hot garbage.
I mean, I only saw it once. I'd have to watch it again probably to really decide, but it was messy. It had really
Mhm.
cool looking parts,
Things, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
but it
storyline, it was
definitely
just mess.
yeah. So, I don't wanna write this one off. I'm excited that Mads Mikkelsen is in it, I guess,
Mhm.
and it could be a lot of fun. And I've always, even as a kid, really liked the adult stuff in the Harry Potter world
Right.
more. Like when we had to deal with the adults, I was more interested than with the
Mhm.
children.
Right,
So
when we get into, like, the order and stuff like that, yeah.
yeah.
The later
So seeing
books.
the first Fantastic Beasts was great, but then yeah, such a step backwards in the next one.
Mhm.
And yeah, but anyways,
Yeah, I
if
don't
I can make it to theaters, I'll go see it in theaters,
Sure.
but I,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm not actively seeking it out, but if everybody was like, "Oh, we're gonna get a group and go," and I happen to be free, like, maybe.
yeah,
Maybe if I
yeah,
was just in the right mood to, like, go see a movie. I do notice that I am more like in the mood to go see movies now that I'm just
Sure.
like I've gone back out there, done it, remembered the magic that is going to the theater. Um, I'm more ready to like get back out there. But yeah, not tempting enough to drive me to go solo or anything like that.
Yep. Um, yeah, it's, I just wish we were closer to a theater, or I definitely would be
Hmm.
to some more of these.
Yep.
So, well, from one thing that's been disappointing to another thing that's been disappointing,
True. Though
you found this
potentially
story
climbing out.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's going on with this?
Yeah, so there's again rumblings of a DC overhaul in the works. Now that Discovery um has bought Warner Media, they're going to be Warner Brothers is now going to be Warner Brothers Discovery. So they're kind of merging the two. And there's talk from, kind of top down level that this new iteration of both companies is on the hunt for a DC equivalent of Kevin Feige. Somebody
Right.
who's going to be like Master Story Czar, who's finally going to be like,
Mhm.
listen, we've had some really glimmering successes, but everything is so scattered. We need to like pull all these pieces together, get some storylines flowing that make sense with one another. Um, we need to, bring back characters that we've underutilized or had poor showings for. Um, and we need to like, kind of get all of this, get this ship in order. So
Mhm.
they're looking right now for a person who's going to be doing all of this. Unfortunately, it doesn't sound like with much success right now. But obviously, who knows? It's still early in the hunt, so who knows? But there's, talk of once they find this person, like trying to reboot Superman. I don't know with or without Henry Cavill. There's talk of like trying to refigure out how to use Margot Robbie and do some Harley Quinn spin-off stuff. There's maybe talk of reviving the Gotham City um, like police department TV show that was going to be on
Mhm.
HBO Max, but then just got canceled. Trying to tie that back in with like Colin Farrell's Penguin series. So yeah, so there's a lot of moving pieces right now, and I'm not sure where everything is going to shake out. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, DC's clearly trying to do what Marvel has successfully done, which at one point in time, like knowing the success of Marvel and like knowing they had their house in order would have been like, ooh, this is amazing. But as we kind of talked about in the last episode, I feel like Marvel's gotten a little formulaic, a little joyless, a little too reliant on its own like engine and its own notoriety of being like, well, it's a Marvel movie, so obviously it's quality. We don't really have to try anymore. We're just following the formula. So, on the one hand, I like having a plan for DC. On the
Mhm.
other, don't do exactly what Marvel has done because I don't need more of the same formula just in the DC world.
Yeah.
I need coherence. I need things tying together, but I don't need, you know, what's already been done, what's been proven to work. I need
Yeah.
like new, I need reinvention. So yeah,
Uh,
clearly I have mixed feelings about this.
right. Yeah. Well, say hello to Renato quickly. He's jumped in the
Hey.
chat. Thanks for popping in. Much appreciated.
Hi,
Um,
hi.
yeah, overhaul of DC. I mean, the interesting thing about this Variety article we found talks about
Mhm.
it. They don't mention comic books at all.
They
So
don't.
it's like not a priority.
No,
Um,
no.
and they mention picking up some more video game things,
Mhm.
but it's all so we've basically what it feels like we've established now is that DC, as I didn't come up with, but DC is for all intents and purposes stands for dead company because it's ceased to be anything new,
Mhm.
right? So the comics were the source. So
Mhm.
they've all this IP that they've created over 85, 90 years in existence. And they've decided that, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, now Aquaman, Flash, a few of these like known quantities over the
Mhm.
years are going to be our things. And
Mhm.
we're not we're not hiring people interested in writing new
New.
things for us.
Mhm.
We're just going to forever reiterate and milk these few characters
Mhm.
until there's just nothing left to suck out.
Mhm.
And so I don't know what you do. Because we, like you said, we were talking on the last episode about how it's amazing what Marvel managed to accomplish in its
Mhm.
first 10-year run. But
Yeah.
now they feel directionless.
Mhm.
Where do you go here? Whether it's quality waning or it's just
Mhm.
feeling repetitive, you know, Tony made the claim that, you know, Endgame is never going to happen again. We're never going to
Yeah.
get that kind of success again, leading up this decade long thing to a
Mhm.
conclusion that the majority of people find satisfactory.
Mhm. Well, and should
So,
we?
right. And so
I mean,
should
if you've
DC
already been
chase
there,
that?
done that, yeah, if you've already been there, done that, like, I'm speaking here to Marvel. If you've already been there, done that, been successful, like, why go back?
Hmm.
It's again, I applaud Marvel for moving forward and, like, moving into, taking risks with new characters. You could so easily just go back and be like, "Listen, we're just gonna, like, keep pumping some Iron Mans out or, like, do a
Yeah.
spin-off." Obviously doing, like, Shang-Chi and the Eternals. Those are just totally brand new characters that they
Yep.
didn't have to move into, and good for them for doing it. I just would like to see their, like, storyline formula change. And
Right.
so, no, don't go back and do what you just did. Don't go back
Hmm.
and, like, have like, I mean, you can have a goal in mind, but don't have like a we're gonna build up to Endgame.
Yeah.
For DC, they haven't had that moment, and they have so much out
Hmm.
there that's messy. I don't feel as resistant to an idea of that, or at least somebody who could come in and clean up and say, like, we had some shit happen that doesn't make sense when you look cross movie to cross movie. And if we're going to have characters appear in each other's stuff, at least let's make it make sense. Even if we're not building to an end game, like, let's like not have people make cameos that literally don't make sense in their timeline, or they make one and then make a solo movie that directly refutes what they did as a
Yeah.
cameo in another movie.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what they should do because I can sit and say, well, they can keep making movies of all these individual characters, and we'll have the Batman, and we'll have the Joker, and we'll have the Suicide Squad, and we'll have Wonder Woman, and all this different stuff.
Mhm.
But you make all these movies eventually. Yeah, people are going to want to see them together. Where's the Justice League movie?
Mhm.
And I don't know. You just that's
Snyder
when it gets
cut.
complicated. You know? Yeah, Snyder Cut. Well, and maybe that would have been the right choice, is just keep going with that because
Right.
they're still making Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
That's
they're
the Wonder
making Wonder
Woman
Woman
that's there.
3. Yeah.
Yeah. There's the Flash and Aquaman. Those are still our existing characters for
Right.
those things. So why not build off that base if you're gonna go with this? Because you
Yeah,
otherwise
maybe
otherwise you
they
had to
can
say clean
reverse it.
slate and just cancel all of them,
Right. I was gonna say,
Because
maybe they can, like, reverse engineer it, like, they've already done Justice League, so why don't we go, like, branch out? Like, don't branch back into, like, an Endgame or another Justice League, whatever. Or maybe do, like, a Justice League Dark or some I don't know. Do something
yeah,
totally different, like, free yourself up.
yeah,
Because
eh,
because now they've got even more messy pieces with,
yeah,
obviously, like, Ezra Miller is having some serious troubles, like, they've already
yeah.
made the Flash movie, but, like, are you really gonna make
Push
another one
was
with this kid?
delayed. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think if it was me, and I have trouble convincing the board to do it,
Mhm.
um, is let's hire some people that they some people that have a history in comic books, some new authors that are
Mhm.
chomping at the bit. Let's get people to make some original ideas under the
Mhm.
DC banner.
Sure.
We're gonna have we're gonna we're gonna print books. We're going to have weekly issues. We're gonna give free reign. No, we
Mhm.
want this thing and we want that thing. Like, just get creative people in there to tell stories.
Mhm.
You have an app that is, your it could be included with your HBO Max, Disney Plus, or
Mm.
not Disney Plus, HBO Max Discovery Plus um,
Yeah.
bundle thing or
Close.
whatever. You get your subscription and you get the comic books with it. And just let them go. Let them,
Mhm.
you and Dana and my wife are all reading webtoons things.
Yeah. Love it.
Independent, original creators from around the world telling unique stories,
Right?
unfettered. They get money for their, from ads or like coins or whatever you
Yep.
buy stuff with or whatever, all that. Just get some talent in there
Mhm.
that and just let them go. And then
Yeah.
you'll
Let them create.
cultivate new IP that you can start making movies on eventually.
Which they are already doing. I know of at least 3 different webtoons that I read that are either going to be adapted into movies or, one of them is gonna be a new K-drama
Okay.
that's dropping in the next year or 2.
Well, then I just saw I was
You, like,
flipping through
literally
there.
just solved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
so I, what I think is DC does need somebody to, like, organize their mess. But it doesn't have to be like a direct Kevin Feige equivalent. Do you know what I mean? Like, they clearly need somebody to come in here and be like, y'all built yourselves a mess. Like, you just came in here and you have too many branches. Let's just like reel it back in and like pick some very solid directions to focus our energy on. Now, does that mean like we need to like directly talk about storylines or characters or what movies are need to be made in organization? Perhaps not. Somebody needs to come in and be like, we need to pick a direction, guys, and commit because we can't keep doing this like, you know, one off here, one off there, because this is what's killing us.
Well, I think they should just stop with the whole idea of a connected to begin with. Like, just give it a rest. If
But
something,
somebody needs to come in and make that
and say that.
decision.
Yeah, make
Yeah,
that decision.
exactly.
Like,
Somebody
okay,
needs to come in and like be the disciplinarian to be like,
yeah,
stop it. We
right.
need to stop this.
Mhm,
We need to do better. Here's how we're going to do better. And every time somebody comes up with like, but what if we no,
mhm,
we're not going to do that.
mhm. They can do those sorts of things. They could have a whole nother branch and start making a lot of great animated stuff. The
Mhm.
X-Men cartoon was great because it was the comic books put in
Mhm.
cartoon format. So if you get some new authors in there writing some fun things, they can start making animated all kinds of
Right.
stuff. Way lower production value, way lower risk, and you can
Mhm.
have a connected thing that way. You can have a series and have the comics and the animated movies and stuff connect. So you could have comics and you could fill in between. You
Mhm.
still start just, but the triple A high budget movies with a connected universe where the characters are shared, just drop it for now.
Sure.
Drop doing, beyond what's already planned and is already in production. Drop Aquaman, drop Wonder Woman, drop the Flash, just quit it.
Mhm.
And until a new idea really comes along that looks great
Mhm.
and just I don't know. I know they're not gonna do that because they can't
No.
resist. You gotta keep pumping it out. You gotta keep pumping it
Mhm.
out. But I
Yeah,
don't know.
I was pausing for a second because I was agreeing with you about like stop like all the interconnected junk. Um but then I was like, "Oh no, like I really enjoyed Matt Reeves' Batman and he's going to have like an interconnected television series. Like am I really, saying no to that?" And then I realized no, I wasn't. Like this is its own little like
Right.
pocket.
It's
Nobody
just
else
it's
needs
a
to come
pocket.
in here.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not the Flash isn't gonna show up.
Right. Well,
It's
I hope
just
not.
right. Right. I
Right, it's
think
just
that's
the
fine too.
Batman.
It's a
Yep,
creative idea of
yep.
one person, and these are the things we wanna tell,
Right, they can
and
go in and out
yeah,
of it. Yeah. Yep,
right.
yep.
So
Yep, I get you now.
we'll see. I have no hope.
Yeah, low
So
expectations for
yeah,
sure.
but I am excited for the merger because I'm
Mhm.
hoping, HBO Max is just like it's just everything. I can drop, I already have HBO Max and Discovery Plus.
Right, can we just
One
Yep,
thing,
yep.
Mhm. So, something I am very excited for. I had no
I knew
idea
you
what was going on here,
I
but
knew
you
you
shared
would
this
be.
trailer. Yeah.
I saw it and immediately was like, "John's gonna love it." I know he is.
Yes. Um, so yeah, Crimes of the Future,
Mhm.
David
Yes.
Cronenberg.
Yes. Big names, Leah
Mhm.
Seydoux, Kristen Stewart, Viggo Mortensen. Um, and actually what I first caught this on, was an article about, the Cannes Film Festival coming back, and it's like full force, like everybody's going out, like they're gonna have like the red carpets, the parties, everything's happening again. And this film, Crimes of the Future. It's kind of one of the darlings, the pre-festival darlings of the
Mm,
festival. You know what I mean? Like when everybody kind of goes in and like a couple of movies already have like the hype going in. Crimes of the Future is one that had a lot of hype going in. So I was like, oh, well, let me check out this trailer. And it looked suitably creepy and awesome, and
yeah,
I like the snippets we've gotten of the performances. Viggo Mortensen seems so different than the warm, relatable characters he kind of usually plays. I was very
sure.
like off put and creepified, if I
He's so
can
good.
make up a word.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I really enjoyed this trailer, and I'm looking forward to this movie.
Yeah, so the trailer you shared is French, so French production,
Yes,
but
yes,
English speaking.
English
Um,
speaking French production.
I mean, I usually it gets my attention anytime Vigo's in something because he seems so choosy,
Yes.
and there's plenty of movies of his I still haven't seen, but I just in my head I'm like, well, that's probably decent, at
Yep.
least good quality because he really seems picky.
Yeah,
Um,
he's only I think we talked about this. He's only ever had the one like I did it for commercial
yeah,
Hidalgo.
Hidalgo, yeah, mhm,
Everybody knows that one. You're like, "Oh no." And
yep.
then everything else is his.
But this felt like HR Geiger at times. It
Mhm.
felt like if sort of I don't know, Blade Runnery, but
Mhm.
really, really seductive. So like I don't know, Eyes Wide Shut with
Yeah.
like a Clockwork Orange. Just it's a lot of different tones going on here. I don't know
Yeah.
what's happening, but it just is appealing.
Yes. Yep. It reminded me of like a serious, real there's actual talent here. Um kind of upscale Repo the Genetic Opera. If you've ever seen that, I mean, it's a wonderful, darling trash fire of a movie. And it's set in the future where like people pay to have surgery, and like surgery is like the thing that you do, and you constantly want to like upgrade your body. And if you can't pay for it, like repo men come and like take
Oh,
back the
right.
body parts that
That's been
you've
mhm.
like paid for and gotten done, but now you can't pay for, so they're taking back pieces of you. So this
Yep.
kind of reminded me a little bit of like this is that. So like that movie is like total campy, wonderful nonsense, and I love it. This is like real life,
Yeah.
actual terrifying, like what if this was happening? So,
Yep.
and what if people were like this addicted to surgery?
Yeah. Well, and something like I've been thinking about recently is this is kind of a tangent, but
Sure.
uh, Ashley left her phone at the gym the other day. So
Okay.
it's locked in there and she needs to communicate with clients or whatever and stuff. And so it was definitely gonna be in there overnight and
Mhm.
hopefully be able to get it the next day sometime.
Mhm.
And she has her watch that happened to be not working then. It needed to be, like, reset or something, so she wasn't getting calls that would normally come through on her
Oh,
watches.
yeah,
She could
yeah.
make calls, and you could call her via FaceTime or something, but if someone
Sure.
just did you a normal call, it wasn't gonna work. So,
Shoot.
it was one of those things, like, I've talked about this before, but it kinda hit her a little more at this point, like, how dependent we are on basically this extra appendage, the
Mhm.
phone. And
Mhm.
not everybody has this affliction, but I would say most people do in
Mhm.
this day and age. And so the dream, the cyberpunk dream, is kind of always the augmentation. This will be in your contact lens and eventually in your head at some point, and just will
Right.
be you'll just be connected. So you
Yep.
just like we, but we already have the problem. She was already in just half a day constantly like reaching for her phone that wasn't
Mhm.
there.
Yep.
Always and wasn't for a purpose most of the time. It
Mhm.
just was because.
Reflex.
And yeah. And so that's bad enough the way it is. If this is in us, a part of us,
Mhm.
how do we handle that? Because theoretically, we should be able to adapt to this potentially.
Mhm.
But is it good for us
Right.
to, I don't know. I mean, obviously there's not really an answer to this probably, whatever, but it just has me thinking more like, so today I didn't wear my Apple Watch at all. I have
Nice.
more like just left my phone someplace else most of the time. And
Nice.
just,
Good for you.
but there's so many practical things then, like if I'm going to be driving somewhere, I want to be able to stream a show or music or podcast or whatever,
Mhm.
using it in that situation.
Mhm.
So I don't know. What do you think? The future
No.
where it's like, yeah, being addicted to surgery or tech or integrated and our
Yeah.
current like addiction already with an external device.
Yeah, while you were kind of talking about that, I was thinking about how I even get panicky, about things that this technology is supposed to help me with. Like I love my Apple Watch and I love that it like tracks like, hey, you haven't been standing up enough, or like you don't have exercise steps in, or whatever. But I'll also get like really panicky sometimes when I'm like, I'm not going to make my goals for today. Like, I have to make
Mm,
my goals, and it like freaks you out. Or like if you're only like a couple minutes away and it's like, oh my God, let me go like quick, do something, or like shake my wrist so I can,
yeah.
get my stand goal in or whatever. And it's like,
Mhm.
God, how tied am I to that sometimes? Even something
Right.
that's theoretically supposed to encourage me to be like physically active and like away from technology, and my technology is making me panicky about that thing.
Right.
Um, so yeah, so it was just kind of interesting to think about like, yeah, it really can, even something that's so great for you to like, to remind you to get physical exercise can be like this very like troubling thing tied to technology.
Yeah.
Um, or like, I was thinking about how easy it would be to have a conversation with someone, and if your phone is like in your contact lens and you're just like scrolling the internet and not even really listening, like how much easier would that be having a conversation with someone and you're just like reading some news on your eye
Yeah.
and just going, "Mhm," and not really listening. Like at least
Right.
now like they know when you're looking like, "Okay, all right, I'm looking at my
Right.
phone, like now I'm looking at you." You
Right.
know, even if you try to be subtle, you really can't.
Hmm.
But I don't know how
Yeah.
like a contact lens would go.
It, so, I have to say, like, well, okay, watching a show and you're on a phone or on a computer or something
Mhm.
at the same time, it's just like common for our age, not even just our age bracket, for the
Yeah.
time we live in.
Yeah.
Um, and the response I'll get is, well, I can multitask. I can do two things at once.
Yeah. Can you?
Is it you can, but is it good? Is
Does it
multitasking in this way inherently better? Are you better off because you
right.
can scroll through memes while you watch,
Mhm.
UFC fights?
Right. Right.
I
Or like are you really getting your work done while you're watching whatever you're watching, even if it's just
Mhm,
background noise? Like sometimes I think it's yes and sometimes like no. Like
mhm,
it does take you twice as long because you're like apt to just like look up and mindlessly watch some minutes and then be like, "Oh shoot. Okay, all right. I gotta do the
Yep.
thing."
Right. Yep. How much faster could a person get ready in the morning or something like that if you just like
Mhm.
just did it as
Yep.
opposed to
I gotta have
I
my
don't know.
stuff on while I do it. Yeah.
Right. I just this is not last week when Tony says I'm in a tech crisis. This is not what he was referring to. But it's something I more and more keep thinking about now. And because
Yeah.
I have my like fake account for Facebook that is if in case we wanted to do some sort of live stream thing on there.
Yeah.
And um then that's attached to Instagram. And I've been proud of myself that I haven't gone on this app to look through things because I could totally like, oh, there's all my people I used to know and like people from high school and different, all
Ye
people I haven't heard from in years. And I
Yep.
could see what they're up to. But, honestly, and it's not that I don't want to know what anyone's up to, but I
Mhm.
don't want to like passively through the window do it. Like if we
Mhm.
want to get together and visit, that's different. But
Right.
I don't want to sit and like experience other people's lives by flipping through this thing
Mhm.
because it's not doing anything for me. That's not
Right. Like,
it's
what does that do to know,
right.
like, so and
I
so went on a Florida vacation the other
right.
week?
I could be making my way through Buffy that I've never seen before,
Yes.
or or reading another impactful book, or learning my Korean or something. Anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be useful. Just I could be doing something in the physical, real world,
Mhm.
and like I know I'm not saying new things here. I just keep thinking about like,
Yeah.
could I switch to just having basically a dumb phone and make it work? And would my life be better
Mm.
for it? You know, my
Can you
thought
even
is,
find a dumb phone anymore?
well, quote unquote dumb, because you can get them that
Okay.
are still they still give you the necessities that I would say necessities. So you can still get some maps, you can get directions. You
Okay.
know, you can still go on the internet, you can still text, you can still look at YouTube, but you're not going to because it's on
Sure.
a not good screen and it's like
Sure.
slow. It's
Doesn't
the old
invite you, yeah.
yeah, right. We do this and just swipe forever because it's so easy, you know?
Yes.
Um, so could I get by that way? And would I be better for it, or would I just be like pulling my hair out all the time?
Sure.
Would I
Yeah,
be
it's
healthier?
it's it's hard to say. I resisted getting a smartphone for so long. So long. I don't think I got one, boy, until I was in grad school, which was 2013, which I mean, smartphones had been out for quite some time.
Yep.
And I loved it. I loved that I didn't have a smartphone. I loved that I couldn't go on the internet to check out all these things and, play games and watch streaming. Like, I couldn't do anything, and I loved it so much because, I'd just see people, like, in restaurants, and I'd see them on the trains, and I'd see them elsewhere just, like, glued to the phone, couldn't
Yep.
look away. Um, and I think it would be tough to go back to that, but there definitely was a part of me that was happier.
Mhm.
Um you know, Unfortunately at the time I really needed access to the internet, and like I needed to read my emails because things changed like half an hour sometimes before class started. It would be canceled. Well, I'd really
Sure.
love to not drive to campus, sit
Right.
in class and be like, where is everybody? If I didn't
Mhm.
have to. So yeah, or like, homework would be posted, or, articles needed to be read for class. So I had to get it. But there was always a part of me that really regretted it.
Mhm. Yeah, well, see, and for some reason, and it's kind of weird, I guess, but maybe you can pinpoint it. For some reason, I think
Sure.
there's if society is never going to like if this is better for us to be like more focused, more present, less
Mhm.
involved in everything else all the time
Mhm.
at once, um like that new movie, I guess. Is it like if society isn't ever going to go that direction, like
Mhm.
what good is it for me to do that, you know? Like, I
Is
guess
it but
just
is it good for you?
right, exactly. Yeah, but then I'm just, I'm already always the odd one out. I'm already always the counterculture. So do
Mhm.
I need one more thing to be like the odd person out? It gets tiring,
Yeah.
And so I guess I don't know. Yeah, and it's not like being opposed to technology. Like cuz I would still
You love
have
tech. Yeah.
right. I still have a laptop, tablet, all kind of thing. But the point is, you go to those things. They're not
Mhm.
attached to you.
Right.
So it's like Ashley's like, well, if I want to read my webtoons, it's like, well, yeah, but if you want to do that, you can go get an iPad,
Mhm. Sit
read
down
it,
and open it
and
up.
when you're
Yeah.
done, you put that and you go on along your way. You don't shove the iPad in your pocket.
Right.
It's not on your hip. So,
Mhm.
like, if you need to check your emails, yeah, you check your emails at home. And like, do you need to check them when you're out and about for sure?
Mhm.
Or so it makes you use the technology for a purpose as
Right.
opposed to mindlessly using technology just because it's attached and convenient.
Mhm.
I listen
Yeah.
to podcasts and like things live all the time on YouTube. I just have
Mhm.
YouTube Premium, and so all the time. Oh, I follow so many people. Someone's live all the time. I put it in my pocket, be listening. Is that adding anything really? Again, it's like just the background noise, the filler to my life.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
could just not have that.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's I was gonna I was gonna say I love that this like movie is like sparking this and we haven't even watched it. We're
Yeah.
like just like already like God, this question of technology and how addicted we are to various facets of it is just, it's so troubling.
Yep.
And we don't stop and think about it enough, I think. If the answer for somebody is like, "Yes, I need my smartphone," or like, "I would feel unhappy without it," like, fine. But I don't know, it's a good question to, like, ask yourself every once in a while, like, stop, take an honest review. Is this really making my life better? That I
Right.
have this like little pocket device that I can do all of these things all the time. Do I feel that urge? Like, do I feel that need to like, grab my phantom phone when it's not there and it's
Mhm.
locked away from me? Um, and I mean, even the other day, like I've had that urge, where I've left my phone somewhere and I keep like but what will I do if it's not immediately in reach for me? Like, I
Mhm.
don't know what I need it for, but I need it. It
Yeah.
needs to be by me. So I can play a game or I can check my email or whatever. And does that really make me happier, now that I'm out of, school and I don't need to check my emails for class things, did it really make me happier knowing I've got like a work email that, came in at 8 o'clock at night that I'm now thinking about
Right.
but I shouldn't be thinking about it because I'm off the clock. What am I really gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Is it really gonna make a difference that now I'm worried about it until, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning when I'm back on the clock?
Right. What if you had instead, you had just like not had your thing, you'd spend time with Chris or whatever. When you get up in the
Right.
morning, you make your coffee, then you log onto your computer and check your email.
Deal with it then,
There it
yeah.
is.
Mhm. It's still there.
Mhm. Like
There's so
there's
few true genuine emergencies. Like there have been
yes.
moments, you know, when that's been useful, but like 90% of the time, I'll check my email and that's great if that's when somebody else is working and that works for them in this kind of very flexible technological age. Sometimes you don't work a 9 to 5 and that's fine, but if I did work a 9 to 5, why do I need to be constantly like checking and
Yeah.
checking in about things?
There's two main reasons why like I'm being held up on this.
Mhm.
One is that I one is safety. So I think that you can have a flip phone, you can have a phone that and you can do a lot of things, but it's harder to do them, so you're
Mhm.
less likely to do that.
Sure.
And so you can still call for emergencies, and of course, you can still do those things. But my watch for emergencies, if I get in a car accident, it will sense the motion and call 911.
Very true.
If
As we
I
all know
am
from Apple commercials now.
right, if working in the field, I jump out of the tractor and I don't think to have my phone in my pocket or something like that. Something terrible happens, you can get your arm stuck in something or whatever. My watch is there,
Mhm.
like it's a literally this safety element for the most extreme circumstances.
Mhm.
Now, how often is that? Of course, like never, you know, but it's a convenience and a safety thing that is there.
Mhm.
You're about to have a heart attack. My watch will tell me, "Hey,
Yeah.
your heart rate is like
Your heart
ridiculous
rate
right
your
now."
heart rate is
Like,
insane.
yeah.
Check yourself.
So that's one. The other is just literally for the inconvenience of others. I feel I already feel like I would never switch back to Android, not only because I hate Google, but because yeah, Google's evil, so I don't want to touch them when I don't have to, whatever. But also because I don't want to be the green bubble because it's annoying. It's really annoying. Like
Mm.
if you're on iPhone and you have a group chat or whatever, you can't just add someone. Every image you send is super compressed. Videos
Yep.
look like garbage.
They
You can't react to
do.
things. You can't thumbs up. What all the simple things that you would do
Yes.
is just gone.
No,
And
Chris and I have that, and it's
yeah,
so frustrating because he's an Android user,
yeah.
and, so we were doing this whole, like, whole first year of Everett's life, we did a video a day,
Mhm.
and I talked about this, and we compressed it all into one big video, and it was adorable, but we had to send each other the videos through Messenger because every time we tried to
Yeah.
text them to each other, it was just, like, grainy shit. Or
Yep.
like pictures that we take of her, like they never come out as well when we just text them to each other or whatever. Or
Yep.
like Chris always talks about, we're on group chats and he's like, I just see like Dana liked the thing. Andrea
Yeah.
gave a thumbs up to the thing. Andrea
Yep.
loves blah. And he's like, it's so annoying. And I'm like,
That's his
well,
fault.
I
Stop using
can't do
Google
anything
garbage.
about that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's yes. It's so I don't wanna do that to people, honestly. And
Mhm.
all those things are nice. They're really
They
nice
are.
because
Yeah.
otherwise you have to get everybody to switch to something else.
Hmm.
Hey, everyone in my life use Signal. Hey,
Hmm.
everyone in my life, join Alphabet or Meta. Join Meta so you
Yeah.
can use Facebook Messenger. You
Right.
know,
Right.
use WeChat so all your messages can be spied on. Like, like everybody in my life, I'll inconvenience you and switch to this other thing for me.
Hmm.
So, and I wouldn't even be doing that if I was on a flip phone. It'd be even worse.
Right.
You know.
Well, I mean, you'd
So
still have texting,
yeah, but wouldn't, it would
but
all be the same kind of deal. It would
yeah.
be the green
It wouldn't
bubble.
yeah, it wouldn't be the
There
same,
would be
yeah.
no switching to other services. So
Yeah.
yeah, those are the two things that keep me from doing it, I think. So
I get
I'm
it.
like trying to be courteous to others, but I'm at the cost of my own sanity or something.
Yeah,
So,
it's hard because, there are really fun things about having a smartphone. That quick gratification of, like, looking something up when you're in a conversation and you're like, "What is this thing? Who is this person? Like, do you remember that event?" Like, that's so helpful. Or
yeah,
like you say, like, the chats that you're able to have with everybody, like the communication you can have, it's so great. Or like the directions,
yep,
the essentials that you really need are so helpful, but it's hard not to get sucked into the extra stuff.
yep,
It's hard not to have these essential things without all the other things, thus resulting in you just like mindlessly grabbing your phone.
yep, yep. Well, that was an aside, but like you say, inspired
Quite
by
the
this
aside, yeah.
this but yeah, it's a conversation I always want to have, I always think about. So,
Well, and it'll be interesting to see what this movie does. I mean, the trailer, for being French made, is also quite brief and pretty enigmatic about
yeah,
what exactly the purpose of this movie is. Um, Suffice it to say, I mean, I think we both found it very intriguing and very creepy, and it's just got like a vibe that I'm really
yep,
interested in. But it'd be interesting to see what the content of the film is really about.
yep. Well,
So,
see
Crimes
this,
of
I
the
think
Future.
May 25th, I think is it was.
Mhm.
And if you ever decide to detect some, I will join you in solidarity.
Nice, nice. Stand together.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna get spoilery now about an Apple TV Plus show.
Oh, John, you just
What?
missed your moment. We're gonna get
Physical.
physical.
Hmm.
Yeah. You set yourself up and then you just veered away from your moment. Set
Shoot,
the
redo.
stage.
Let's
Take
go
your
back.
bow. Come
Yep.
on, John.
Yep.
Live your spotlight.
Where's the rewind effect? Just yeah, could totally do that. I'll just chop it out in the edit.
There you
But
go. There you go.
yes, we're about to get physical with the television
Yes.
show
So satisfying.
Physical, starring Rose Byrne
Mhm.
on Apple TV Plus. You've like we started this the same time, but then you like blasted through it.
I did.
And
I did. I blasted through it like an aerobic workout.
yeah.
Ah.
Um as you with your like kind of speed at which you'd move through
Mhm.
this, I was like, okay, I better watch the two. Must be
Mhm.
good, kind of thing. Did you? So you binged it pretty much.
I did. I
You
did.
enjoyed the binge?
Yes, yes, like our titular character. We already have our
Yeah,
spoilers up, so it will be a surprise to no one who has seen the show. Yeah, it's a much darker show than than I was initially expecting. I was kind of expecting some like glitzy, bubblegummy, like maybe with a dark edge show about a woman who discovers aerobics.
yeah,
She like the official description is like a repressed housewife discovers like her passion for aerobics and like kind of goes from there.
yeah,
But we're introduced right away to the fact that our main character also suffers from an eating disorder. An eating disorder. She binges and purges, and that's apparent right off the bat. That's
yeah.
going to be a significant part of the show and the plot.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, if you're able to adapt to that, kind of your expectations being subverted in that way. I think
Yeah,
this is a really cool show. But yeah, if you go in and you're kind of one of those people who's like, no, I had my expectations here, really don't like that they weren't met, then I'm sure this was could be a tough show for you to get
yeah,
into.
yeah. It definitely was surprising, but I kind of liked the direction they went, and
Mhm.
it gave the show more depth than I thought it might have
Mhm.
had initially. Um, I just was interested because of Rose Byrne and
Yeah, her
the
performance is
80s
yeah.
aesthetic, you know?
Her performance is absolutely magnetic. I think she seals the show. Like if she wasn't the titular character, I think I would have had a much harder time getting into this
For
because
sure.
she is one of those people. And I mean, the ensemble cast does a great job at this too, but she really does a great job of like every time I'm to the brink of not liking her character, something happens that just pulls me back in enough. I'm like, oh, fine, I will give you another chance. You will do another thing. I'm gonna watch another episode. I don't know though. Like sometimes you're just awful.
Yeah, I mean, that was something that surprised me. We're definitely not watching a show about good people or
God
stable
no.
people, and
No.
so it's amazing to see constantly how everyone is so damaged.
Yes.
Uh, there's very few people that in this series that seem to like the one person I thought, hey, pretty cool and kind of has it together in his own way is the surfer dude.
Tyler, yeah.
Tyler, yeah. And he we're introduced to his own problems later
Mhm.
and stuff he has to deal with. But
Mhm.
a lot of people, him in particular, but then also our main character, it's like impulse control.
Mhm.
Like how many times do we hear in her head over and over, don't say this, don't say this, don't say this, and then say it.
Yep.
Or stop, 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 and you just can't.
Yep.
So
The last time I'm doing like her whole binge ritual is
yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Rose Byrne sells it so well, but every time she says this is the last time, and you just like feel that like visceral like, God, what am I doing? It's not even about sometimes, like the eating, the binging. It's about like the money that she's spending. You can feel her
Yeah.
being like, I'm like broke. Why am I
Yeah.
doing like my whole purpose right now is to make money and I just blew some money. Like, why would I do
Yep.
that? You
Yep.
know?
And I liked the added depth later in the season where we get probably hints at where some of this might have started from, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we don't find out for a while, like
We meet her
why.
parents and
Yeah, it's like, why is she on such poor terms with their parents? What's going on?
mhm,
Is it just because they didn't like her hippie boyfriend and all that
right,
stuff? And then obviously it's a lot more than that. We have, her
right,
getting molested by a father's friend, and then they don't
right.
believe her.
Mhm.
And so
Which, for the time period that this is set in is not uncommon, that they would have been like, "Let's sweep this under the rug," instead of like,
well, and that's
"Let's."
what I was wondering. Do you think, like, is it a sweep under the rug, or is it like a "we didn't believe you"? Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
the show isn't clear about that, which I think gives us some place to go in season 2, because
yeah.
I mean, season 2 is greenlit. I imagine we're going to be seeing her parents again, especially that considering the fact that they gave her the money and expected to see their granddaughter, and she was like, "Screw you." And that was a great moment because I really didn't know what way I wanted that to go. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Like, on the one hand, they did the thing, they clearly wanna see their granddaughter, and I felt bad for them, and then on the other hand, I didn't feel bad for them at all because they clearly treated their daughter terribly,
right.
and, like, either didn't believe her that this happened because, of course, we see it through her, like, fantasy of how she's gonna, tell
Confront
them all
them.
these things, yeah,
Yeah.
confront them and tell them all the things that is on her mind, so it's hard to know, like, what exactly happened. But yeah, they either didn't believe her or they wanted to sweep it under the rug and just be like, "Let's not talk about it ever."
Yep.
But either way it goes, like, that doesn't either one isn't better than the other. It's still
Right.
terrible either way it happened, so,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was good. I really was disappointed though with the knocking over a few flower pots
Yeah.
versus like what was in her
You're
head that
like,
she's gonna
big
do.
revenge.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it would have been a lot better to just do that.
Yes.
So I wasn't sure. Did they keep the money then?
They did.
They did. Okay, that was a thing. I didn't
Yes.
remember because I know her husband was gonna tear it up and she stopped him, and then
Yes.
we never saw them like cash it or whatever.
Yeah, so I guess, I'm thinking that they kept it, but I guess, yeah, you're right, we don't have that totally confirmed.
I mean, you'd think I would have thought they would have made it clear in one way or another. Finish up showing, tear up the check,
Right,
or
or
to like write it in the book or something,
right.
something. But maybe we'll see that later because shortly thereafter, isn't that when they got all their money from the bootleg tapes, right?
Yes,
And then
mhm.
their money stuff
Was
was fixed for.
solved-ish, yeah,
Yeah.
for a
Mhm.
while.
Right. Let's see some other notes I took. Her husband is really a dork. Um,
Yeah.
that is definitely
It's
definitely a dork.
yeah, it's so funny, we're introduced to him as this, like, very confident in himself, professor, um, and, like, they were introduced in the entire series to all of these characters, and he's trying he convinces Rose Byrne, Sheila, his wife, right away, he's like, "Yeah, my students over here, we're gonna have a threesome. Like, you're gonna do this for me,
Right.
baby," because, you know, he clearly doesn't know about her self-esteem issues, but
Right.
is so used to just like automatically taking advantage of them and like convincing her to do whatever he wants. It's just like, yeah, this happens. Like, I have the power. I'm good. And it's not until like the series keeps progressing that we realize like just what a doofus and what like a forgive my language, but what like a fuck up he is. He just
Mhm.
can't figure his own stuff out. He has none of his own ideas, you know.
Yep.
He like especially in this like, series of like setting up his firing and his campaign, like Rose Byrne is just like the force behind all of it. And maybe he used to have all these great ideas and maybe he used to be this firebrand and this great speaker and that's why everybody was so attracted to him, but he hasn't kept it. He hasn't kept it at all.
Well, I read it as like he is he's personable and charismatic. I mean, that he's able to be at school and to attract the young students and stuff like
Mhm.
that, He's just isn't particularly smart. He doesn't have
Right,
the ideas, he's not very bright,
right.
but he is
But he, like
charismatic and a little
and he, like,
magnetic for some
thinks he's
people.
bright is the
Yeah,
thing. Like, he
right.
clearly thinks he's one of the great thinkers, like
Yeah.
but, like,
Well,
every time you see him have this, like, really great idea, he's either quoting somebody else or, like, like, when he writes, like, "Oh, I found the perfect line to use in my speech from," or, he's directly stealing Rose Byrne's idea. I'm sorry, I have a really hard time calling her character
yeah,
Sheila.
I pulled up the list of names now because I don't
Sheila
remember
Rubin.
any of them really. So,
Um, but he directly takes from her without acknowledging that it's hers. So yeah, you're right. He's got the delivery. He's got the likable, affable, like, he just kind of want to like help him along because he's such a doofus.
mhm.
But yeah, he's not a great thinker.
And he goes back and forth between like, man, you're so ungrateful to then being very, you know, turning on the charm in a way, So
Yes.
like we
Mhm.
see when he talks to Simone
Mhm.
and then gets, discovered by their daughter. Because I was
Oof.
wondering, right? But I was like, where is she
I
now?
know.
Like, you really
I know.
she's getting left
It's
behind
hilarious, I
sometimes
thought that
here.
too. I was like, "Oh boy, where
Yeah.
did she go?" And then, yeah,
Yeah.
there she
Mhm.
is.
And, other times,
They
like,
really are
he
shit
said how much.
parents.
Yeah. Uh,
They might not be
here.
shit in the way that, like, Sheila's parents are, but they're definitely, like,
Mhm.
just neglectful, forgetful, like, "Right, we have a daughter. Oh, crap."
Here, have all this fast food right now while I
Right,
go and, like,
right,
eat all mine and
right.
shower and
"Please, like,
everything,
go
like.
entertain yourself in a corner while we do our thing." Like,
Yeah.
not that you have
Yep.
to spend 24/7 with your kids, because I certainly don't, like,
Mhm.
Everett has her own, like, play area where sometimes I sit her down, but it's not, like, this level of
Yeah.
go be in a corner while I do my stuff.
Mhm. So, and then he has moments where he says like, really you are the driving force, you came up
Mhm.
with, this one, you had this spark, you wouldn't have done any of this without you, you got me all this
Right.
stuff. But then turn around and yeah, like she's had internal monologue parts like, are you gonna let Jerry talk to me this way?
Right.
And like clearly, he's getting a little too involved in their relationship,
Right.
that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So,
it's very, I think, textbook emotional manipulation, Like,
mhm,
you're mean enough to somebody just until the point where you see that they're, like, breaking or they're gonna leave you or they're gonna do something, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, like, you're
mhm,
so great, I totally forgot, like, I lost sight, please forgive me. Oh, I
yep,
got you back, now I can treat you how I want you."
yep. I mean, the lesson in this show definitely, it's the through line to me for the varying
Mhm.
couples here is just stop lying. Just
Yes.
be honest. Like people need,
Yes.
all this stuff. Like Sheila, years not confessing that she has an eating disorder,
Right.
or that she's unhappy with any sort of aspect of her life. Like just
Mhm.
quiet. And then between Greta and Ernie, the wealthier couple and some of that, like their weird
What a
fetishes.
weird happy ending they get, though.
I know. Yes, it is nice, but it's like all these years, all this
Yes.
stress,
All
all
the
the like. You
misery.
think right? You think that you're growing further apart. You think he's cheating on you. All this stuff, like
Yeah.
just like talking to each other and like being open about it.
Mhm.
Um, and then let's see, John Bream and his wife. So the
Right,
other
who's,
guy
like,
that's
so
running the
interesting, we don't
mall.
even, like, know her. We're like, "Yeah, John Bream and wife."
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause she's such, like she's just, like, wife. She's, like, totally subsumed herself into, like, "I'm your wife."
I'm sure we'll find like
She's gotta have
we'll
something, I
she'll
hope, in
have
season
something
2.
more. Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause, yeah,
Mhm.
the one thing I do like about the show is everybody has something interesting. Like, even our
Mhm.
like you were just talking about Greta and Ernie, um, and they're, like, our side supporting characters, clearly. And
Yep.
even Greta, like, starts out and she just seems like she's gonna be,
Just
Sheila's best
comedic mom.
friend, comedic mom, like, she's gonna be the butt of the joke while
Yep.
also, like, wanting to be like Sheila so much that she's just gonna support her in whatever she does. She turns out to be interesting. She turns out to be, like, a strong person once she just kind of, like, figures her stuff out.
Yeah.
And she, like, confronts her husband and she's like, "Listen," she could have been that kind of person who's like, "I found out your fetish," which actually weirdly turns out to be a good thing because I'm willing to go into it and, like, reconnect with you, and now our marriage is amazing.
Yeah.
But, like, if she was truly just, like, the butt of the joke and the comedic relief and the sidekick best friend, you could easily see her, like, shrinking away and being like, "Oh, no, this is too terrible for me, like, you
Mhm.
sicko, like, how could you do that?" And that would make her less interesting of a person.
Yep.
But because she, like, faces up to it, she's interesting.
Yep. And Bunny has family issues,
Oh, I
she's really
loved
trying to
Bunny's
create
storyline.
like a persona for herself here,
Mhm.
and her like sister's mad at her for like being gone and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
so
they've got a
clearly
whole
more to
family that
yeah.
she's supposed to, like, follow a whole path and just clearly didn't, but, like, sleeps in a van with her surfer boyfriend,
Mhm.
runs her aerobic studio. Yeah, I loved her whole weird, like, sort of weird Jewish mafia type you know what I mean? It was, like, all secretive and, like,
Yeah.
regimented and, like, I had no idea what was going on, but I loved it. I'm so intrigued by her family and who they are and, like, what if
Mhm.
they're super important people.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. Let's see what other notes.
I actually do have to say I wasn't really in love with, like, giving Tyler a backstory moment, like her boyfriend, surfer guy, and now he's got, like, issues where he can't go surf again.
Sure.
He's got, like, the ear I was
She was
like you s it's the storyline served to, like, underscore the, like, everybody has impulse control issues and, like, sort of underscore, like, our main character's impulse control, but I sort of was like, I could have just left Tyler. He's
I
kinda
agree.
the one guy I could have just been like, he's, like, random surfer dude. I love that he's super obsessed with making a video and how excited he is about, like, "I made this,
Yes.
like, killer video, man." Great, love it. I did
Mhm.
not need him to be complicated beyond that.
Yeah, I totally agree. He would have worked out well to just kinda always be that one positive thing,
Yep,
you know?
yep.
We didn't need to see him eat an entire pot churro and then spend too much on a
No.
board and all that stuff, like,
Right,
it's
and, like, get the board smashed and, like, that
Yep.
needed to be a thing. Like, no, it didn't. I mean, I again, like, him choosing to surf and, like, going into the hospital and now Bunny has, money problems because they need to pay for his hospital bills. Sure, like, you could serve the storyline that way, but it could have been anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't need him to have a backstory.
He
That
coulda
was the
just
one.
broken something while
Right,
surfing and,
right. That was the one thing I thought, like, could have been cut out for somebody else's extra time.
Yep, yep. Yeah, because it can get to be, certain shows, I'm okay with it almost always being dark, I guess. But
Mhm.
it can get a little bit sometimes when you don't have someone to kind of bright to grasp onto.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
everyone is emotionally complicated. Everyone in their own right isn't a good person or something or is doing something
Mhm.
very wrong. And so
Mhm.
yeah, he was a kind of a bright spot
Yep.
of just fun and kind of that good thing that always have the support for Bunny, it's always
Yeah.
gonna be there for her.
She clearly
So,
needs it, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, she's the chaotic character who, like, needs her rock, and he needs to be her rock. And it
Mhm.
like I said, it's great that he's in jeopardy, because that, I think, is gonna fuel some interesting stuff for her in terms of the 2nd season and, like, needing money and making sure Sheila doesn't just, like, leave her behind. That's great. That's gonna fuel some desperation and some interesting things, but yeah, Tyler can just be, like, surfer dude Tyler.
Yep. Yep. Let's see.
Also, I could take less Simone.
Okay, she's on screen.
Since
Take less
since
of
she's
her.
on the screen, I was like, she has served her purpose. Like, she's, hot young co-ed who's moving in on Sheila's husband, tempting, idealistic young protege that he's like, "Oh, I'm like recapturing my glory days."
Yeah.
Great
I
job. You served your purpose.
I
I'm
don't
cool
think
if we
she's
left
going
it.
anywhere because I
I
mean,
know, but I wish she was.
the very first time when basically John and Sheila interacted in the mall, I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, so they're gonna have a thing.
Yeah.
And I was
I
waiting for
didn't
when that's gonna happen.
Same, same.
And I
I
didn't,
didn't
yes,
envision it the way
that
it
way,
worked
right.
out.
Exactly. It's like I didn't expect that. I
Yes. Great
I thought
job, show.
but so we're gonna have this year and we're seeing her husband at the end really like always leaving me again. She's disappeared again.
Mhm.
She's run off, my big
Right.
moment or whatever. And so he's gonna be looking for someone else to go to, and well, Simone will be there, I'm sure.
Right. Well,
Yes.
especially because they had a little interruptus of their non-coitus.
Coitus
Yeah,
interruptus.
exactly, exactly. Way to just stroll in, neglected daughter. Yeah, I do imagine that that storyline is gonna work itself out in some fashion, and she's not gonna be completely gone in season 2, but like I said, I could take a stepping back, and maybe the unexpected with Jeff's storyline is that, you know, he finds something new to focus his energies on that isn't just like, I'm gonna make myself feel better by having sex with like my young student. You know what I mean? Like, he
Oh,
spoiler
Danny?
alert.
Oh,
Yo,
Danny?
Danny, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. I keep wanting to call him Jeff for some reason. So Danny, yeah, Danny is gonna, he lost the election. Spoiler alert. The whole thing we've been working to this entire season. Like, he
Yep.
got fired. He wanted to run for a local office, lost spectacularly. He's obviously going to need something new in season 2 to focus his energies on. I would love it if we could quickly move on from the cliche of, I will make myself feel better by sleeping with my student.
Okay. I mean, I feel like they could go either he totally falls apart, because
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll have Sheila like rising to success and it will be, the question of is she leaving her surfer friends behind? Is she leaving
right,
Bunny and Tyler
right.
behind? Or like how is that working?
It's
And
obviously not going to be like, you know what I mean? She's not just going to leave them.
so yeah, I don't know
She
because
can't. Like, she'll try, I think. She's
well, and
definitely
that's
that kind of person that would try, even though she was like, "I'll be there for you. I'll stand by you guys." She had
yeah.
that, like, really great, like, inspiring speech moment and then was just like, "I gotta go."
But then she was saying, like, in her head, she can see right through me. She knows, she
Yes. Yep.
has my number basically.
Right.
Um, which my comment towards the end of the show was it, it's time for some character growth, you
Yeah,
know?
she's had some steps, like I said. There's so many episodes where I'm like, "Oh, why?" And then she has that one moment of like, "Fine, it's just enough. It's just
Yeah.
enough for you."
Yeah.
You're right
I
though. She does need to move forward in like some meaningful way.
mhm.
And not take like a huge regressive step back.
Yeah. Cuz I mean, the thing is she's done like just stealing her friend's camcorder.
Yeah.
just like spur of the moment. Like,
They'll never
what?
miss it.
Yeah. I don't know. I get probably the idea that we don't want to, like, oh, she's over her eating disorder. You don't want to make
Right.
that be a light issue. So
Right.
you want to use that for a long time.
Mhm.
Um, but think about a movie and the character growth someone potentially has to go through in the span of 2.5 hours.
Mhm.
And obviously it's different when you have a TV show, you don't have to write that way. But
Right.
for our attention spans and for the way that, we want to consume something, that pacing becomes more important.
Right.
When people are going to shift and change. Like the shift and change for Ernie and Greta, great.
It
You know,
happened, yeah.
right. That resolution, that's really nice. It's a good timing for that.
Mhm.
We got to see some other people like grow as people or learn from their mistakes, change their course of action. Like
Mhm.
would is you know would Sheila at this point really, like, how bad of a person is she that she just wants to drop Bunny and Tyler? Like that
Mhm.
it might not be able to, but that's her intent.
Right.
If that's her like that's really mean. Like, let's make this work.
Mhm.
Let's write up a contract. We did this together. I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you. Like, and all the things Tyler's contributed. Like, we're a
Right.
team. Like,
Right.
if she just tries to
Yeah.
drop him, that's really she hasn't learned anything, and has not
Right.
grown to be a person that can like relate and talk to people at all.
Yeah, I mean, I get that the show comes from a place of like Sheila is doing this not just because like she doesn't like these people, but because she loves that like the attention is on her and she feels special, because her husband obviously doesn't make her feel special or valuable in any way. And so
Mhm.
it's like a heady drug of like, oh my God, these
Right.
people think I'm amazing.
Yep.
So we can I think in season 2 see some temptation, but you're right, we ultimately need to see her say like, "Thank you, super flattered, but I need my partners to come along for at least some piece of the ride here,
Right.
and I can't just leave them in the dust."
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's what I first thought when the guy from the ad agency, the talent agency and video producing and all that stuff
Mhm.
came and had the meeting with her.
Right.
I thought she was gonna, okay, meet me in the food court in 10 because she'd go get Bunny. And I think
Right.
that's why they intentionally brought and so before that, she ran into Bunny and they
Right.
talked, and then she did not invite her to the
Yep.
business meeting.
Yep.
Um, so right there, I'm like, well, that's a mistake.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, it's also easy to see from the way this series has progressed, like, Sheila does have really great ideas, especially when it comes to, like,
yeah.
growing Bunny's business and, like, growing the aerobics arena, like,
Mhm.
once she finds her rhythm, she's obviously, like, a natural born teacher, she loves the routine, she loves all of it. She has the passion, but that still doesn't mean, like, you get a free pass to leave out these people who basically helped you do the things that were in your head, but you couldn't get done. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, she couldn't make a video without Tyler. She couldn't teach a class and develop all these routines without using Bunny's studio.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep. And they showed obviously when they were like working on things that she was now coming up with more new ideas than Bunny.
Right.
'Cause Bunny
Right.
was starting to like follow her moves and stuff like that. So that's
Right.
fine, but you still, you know,
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So and so one thing we obviously we're following Sheila, so we know
Mhm.
intimately why they're having the marriage problems that they're having and all this stuff. And then at the end, we get to see, again, the coming together of John here and Sheila.
That's quite
First
literal
meet at the mall,
choice
yeah,
of you.
and well, and again, the interesting thing is, like, does it show her like narcissism, like you just said, wanting to feel special? Because
Yes.
literally, as she's looking at him and they're doing this together, we see in her head she's just thinking about herself
Yes.
in
It
like
absolutely is narcissism.
you know
Absolutely. Which
uh
I kind of weirdly loved. I mean, we talk about like her character needs to grow, and she does. I absolutely agree. I think it's in the way of she needs to, include Bunny and Tyler. She doesn't necessarily need to grow out of her narcissism right away. Because I think that's what makes this moment so interesting in, like right away when we meet Bream and they have their like first interaction and we're thinking like, yeah, they're going to get together. They're going to have an affair. Something's going to happen. You can feel it already. And I love that this show does it, but doesn't do what you'd expect. There's no like actual contact between these two characters. There's no
Yeah.
like, because they don't really have a connection. They're not really like the same people. They're not like meeting each other in a place of like, "Oh, my life is dark and lonely and I need you
Yeah.
because we have this like beautiful emotional." No, they don't have a story. It's just like,
A
ugh.
passion kind of
Yeah, it's just like, what I
raw
have
attraction
isn't
thing.
yeah, what I have is not working for me and I need
Mhm.
something else and you're just like an outlet. But it could be
Mhm.
anybody. It just happens to be you. But
Maybe
I
they've
need
kind of had their back
I
and
need
forth,
yeah, they've had like their little conversations and maybe this could grow into something, but right now I'm glad that the show didn't make them like kiss
Sure.
or
Yeah, yeah,
be,
yeah.
be intimate with one another. That doesn't feel
Yes.
true to who they are right now. Right now they're just looking for the release
Mhm.
and they're finding it with this person who's starting to be something interesting to them but isn't emotional yet.
Yep.
Could
I
be, but not yet.
and that's what I was gonna say. I wanna know because we know so well Sheila's situation. I wanna know more with John and I think Maria.
Yeah.
Um,
Maria, is
yeah,
that her
Maria
name? Okay.
Bream, because there I can see Sheila recognizing and being drawn to a togetherness, a
Mhm.
cleanness, intelligence of John,
Yeah.
and so that's so starkly contradicting her husband.
Yeah.
That's sort of like extra, like disheveled at times, sticking with the hippie vibe, and like doesn't
Let
have a
himself go.
original thought in his mind, all that
Like,
kind of
he's
thing.
he's got some, like, dad bod,
A little softer, yeah.
little
Hmm.
yeah, well, she talks about, like, he has food crumbs, he's, like, messy and gross,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I think what I like about these 2 people being paired together is everything about their lives is so opposite. Like,
Hmm.
her life is with this like you're saying, like, this messy, like, over his prime, hippie dude, daughter who like she doesn't really like, who doesn't really listen to her. She gets no respect at home and she hates everything about it. And here's like John Bream, who seemingly has like perfect everything, like a wife who's like, I will service you and I am here for you, my husband, and I will do what you need. And kids who are like, Dad, you're my hero, you're the best. And he's like, ugh, like, "Stop kissing my ass." Like, you just, like, feel his total disdain for his son who's like, "You're the best thing ever," and he's like, "Shut up." So they have these really 2 opposite situations that they're both trying to, like, get out of,
Hmm.
and neither one is, like, ideal. It's not ideal to either have, like, this fully supportive, like, "You can do no wrong," but it's also not ideal to have this totally chaotic, unsupportive, kind of nasty at times unappreciative family. So they
But
feel like they need to, like, meet somewhere in the middle.
they seem like they would work better with the swap. Doing the
Exactly,
doing the
yeah.
wife swap here because he wants
Exactly.
someone that's gonna just, like, support and dote on him and, like, be
Right.
there all the time, like, what
Kids who
John
are
probably
like,
feels
"You're
is naggy,
amazing."
but
Yeah,
she's there, so that perfect for, Danny, and
yeah,
he's probably like, "I want someone that's a little more independent and, a little sharper,"
right.
and she's the
Someone
same,
who's go
wants
getting
someone
it,
that's
yeah.
right. So it's just like they feel like if they just switched,
Yep.
they'd be happy. Like you say, neither one probably particularly healthy or balanced exactly. It should be some sort
Ex
of balance,
right.
but it's
But
more what each other are
you would
looking for.
right, well, and you might achieve that balance if you could, like,
Yeah,
swap
maybe.
a little bit, do a little wife swap or a family swap, something,
Yep.
just to, like, meet somewhere in the middle of, like, don't be unappreciative, but don't be so supportive that you're, like, blind and subsumed into another person.
Yep. Yep. The one thing that didn't quite fall in line with that narrative for me was that all of
Mm,
a sudden I got a different idea. Like that's why I wanted to delve a little more into like John and Maria's relationship because
sure.
it seemed like the kind of doting, very like whatever you need kind of thing. But then there was a few moments where like therapy didn't go the way she wanted, and then it was like
Mm.
I will like sort of passively aggressively get a waterbed. It's like I know you're not over this, so I'm gonna get the most watery waterbed we
Oh
can
my
ever
god, I
find.
know. I know.
So I was just a little
In
confused by it seemed like a
right.
shift in what the kind of narrative they were trying to sell me at
Right,
first.
in the guise of "I am trying to help you, I will
Yeah,
actually punish you in some
yeah,
fashion." Yeah, yeah, no, I totally agree. Um, but, I mean, that's clearly not what he wants either. You know what I
right.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very weird, like, the dynamics there are very weird.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and hopefully we'll be seeing a lot more of their family to
Yeah.
also figure out, like, what is his trauma in the first place, because this is,
Yeah, so
you
with
know.
swimming, like, is something an event with his dad or something? A
Right.
boating thing? Something like that.
Right. I
Yeah.
don't quite remember the specifics, but yeah, clearly something that, they're gonna have to bring up at some point because now they've made an issue out of, "Oh my god, he
Mhm,
was in the pool, now we're getting a water bed to fix this," like, ugh.
mhm. Yeah, it sounded like his dad must have died in a boating accident or something. Because
Right,
he said he
and
used to swim really far, into the lake
right,
and all that stuff, so
right, and so he
but
must have either been there or, like, tried to go out
right.
there or
Yeah.
something traumatic, yeah.
Yep. Um These everybody also needs better friends. Like, no one has good friends. I mean, they go and they're gonna do firstly, the only reason they call up these friends from there is because they wanna have a fundraiser, so we need money.
Yeah,
Then they go
yeah,
out to their fancy and the only reason they invite them out is so they can show off everything. "Oh, look
right.
at all the things I've achieved.
"I'm
Look at our view
pregnant."
here." Yeah, like,
Yeah.
just, like, all this stuff, and then the other friends coming to the party too are, like, just they wanna rub everything in everyone's faces, and there's no good friends. I
No. No, I
yeah.
mean, obviously, Greta and Ernie turn out to be decent
Yes.
friends,
Yes.
and fairly
Mhm.
forgiving on Greta's part for, what Sheila's done. Um,
Mhm.
but yes, yeah, no, they have some shit friends.
I mean, I guess Simone's a good friend other than trying to have
Eh,
sleep with a married man, but
oh,
we set the season up as, like, their, free love, man,
yeah,
kinda thing.
right.
So, I don't
Well,
know,
and
I
even
think
she at times is very like, Danny is like not even really needed for this campaign. Like it's her campaign almost. When
yeah.
she starts like getting the organizers going together and she's like, "Shh, we don't need you."
Well, and the
Um,
sympathy that she has also which tries bringing up maybe your wife has an eating disorder,
right.
and then he's like, "Ah, just like anyone else," kinda thing or something.
Right, right. Yeah,
So,
that was actually like a cool moment of her to be like, "Listen, you might want to figure this out because
yeah.
I noticed." So that was kind of a redeeming instant for her character, and then it's like, yeah, but okay. Still trying to sleep with Danny over here, with your professor. Um, and also speaking of shit friends, we haven't talked about their campaign manager.
Yeah, only in passing, boy, he is something. He is something.
Yes. Yeah, boy. I mean, he's obviously the one that like sets a lot of things in motion because he
Yeah,
drives Danny to be even worse than he already is to Sheila. He gets obviously his hopes up about all these things that can happen once he's elected and they don't really come to pass. He doesn't really seem to be working very hard as the campaign manager, just kind of like riding out like I get a place to crash and some beers
yes.
and maybe I write a few campaign slogans and we sit around and smoke pot and like philosophize, but like we're not,
Yeah,
doing anything. And then
yep.
obviously he's the one who like figures out the cooked books that Sheila's
Yeah.
been keeping.
It's like, "Oh, you shouldn't leave
Ooh.
those behind."
Oof,
He should
yeah.
not leave us behind or
Girl, big
unlocked.
mistake.
Mhm.
Oh god, and it's such like a typical he like uses it to punish her so hard too.
Yep.
Ugh, ugh. You know, even though I don't like Sheila, it's just it's hard to watch her be so
Mhm.
like, I did the wrong thing, you know. Like I can't
Mhm.
say anything now because I made this one slip up where, I
Well,
mismanaged.
but it's like years of slip up though.
I
It's
you
years
know,
of I
yeah,
can't and that's
right.
again the whole thing. These people just don't the
Keep it
relationships are all
inside for
based
years, yeah.
on lies, you know?
Well, yeah, it's the crazy thing because yeah, you're right. Like she obviously didn't just like blow all their money in like one
Mhm.
ill-fated, I made an investment and it didn't work out. It was years of like mismanagement or, lying to herself
Mhm.
about, my addiction really isn't that bad. But when we see it, it's sort of just like this singular thing juxtaposed against all the
Yeah.
other ways that she's helped him
Yeah.
and we see all the other tiny little terrible things and terrible treatment of her by Danny, and we're like, it's one mistake, and she just acts like she has so much to atone for.
Mhm.
And I don't know, for me as the viewer, I was definitely like, where's Danny's comeuppance? Where's Danny's, like, I'm sorry I treated you terribly even though you came up
Mhm.
with like my campaign slogans and oh, man. Yeah.
Well, and see, that's what he gets away with, I guess, because he's just stupid. You know,
He's just so
how much do you put
bumbling
on
and
because it's like,
yeah.
if you think about, like, what is his sin, it's really just being stupid and ungrateful.
Right.
Like, he's just not intelligent, so everything he has to be always be encouraged. He always has to be
Right.
talked up. He always
Right.
he's just kind of pathetic, and so that's his sin. He's a pathetic person,
Right.
um,
So you
and
automatically sort of feel sorry for him. He's automatically like a kicked puppy dog.
yeah,
You're like,
right.
"Oh, are you right? I'm sorry."
Yeah, right. So, I don't know. But either way, I definitely enjoyed the show. I don't
Mhm.
know if it was best for me to binge it in the way I did,
Sure.
maybe I would have felt less need for character growth or something if I just had a little more space between each episode or something like that.
Sure.
But
Yeah, I mean, I obviously did the same thing. I just like binged the show because once I started, I was like, yeah, I'm hooked enough to keep watching. But I don't know. I feel almost kind of and I hope it's not too terrible to say, but I almost feel like the show deserves like a binge because you almost feel, like the main character's problem is binging and everybody's
sure,
problem is impulse control. It's kind of a weird synonymous feeling of like, ooh, should I really have watched the show that way?
sure,
Where's my impulse control? I don't
sure.
know. It's kind of a weird, interesting phenomena to have binged it.
Gotta watch season 2, binge it with pot churros.
Like pot churros. I mean,
Mhm.
if you're gonna have some edibles, if you're gonna have some edible baked goods, churros don't sound too bad.
I know, I've never heard of that, but it's like, "Oh, I'm intrigued by that."
I love churros, so
Mhm. Yep. So,
maybe.
all right. Well, anything else to say on this show on physical?
Um, Not really. I would just say I'm looking forward to season 2. I think, Apple recognizes what they have in already, greenlighting a second season. Um,
I think it's out in June.
yeah, I think it's coming out in not too long and yeah. Rose Byrne is amazing in this. Way to excellently cast the lead character. I think she's got a good supporting cast even though, I don't really know much of the actors from anything else, but whoever did the casting, great job. I'm really intrigued for season 2.
Cool. Yeah, let's go. Apple's got I hope it's I wonder how it's doing for them. We don't
I
have
think well.
the numbers and
Yeah,
stuff,
I
but,
yeah, I don't know if Apple releases any numbers or whatnot, but yeah, I know the show's been nominated for several awards, and obviously Rose Byrne has as well. So,
cool. Alright. Well, everyone, that is Physical from
hmm
Apple TV Plus, season 1. As we
hmm
said, season 2 is incoming. set for an early June launch, I believe. So we'll be checking in on that when that drops. Um, we're in the meantime talking about Moon Knight.
Mhm.
So we're going through that as it happens. I can't wait for it to be done so I can get rid of Disney Plus. Um, but yeah, that's happening. So stay tuned if you're interested in that. Otherwise, please like and share and follow in all the places. Facebook, Instagram, no, so Facebook, Twitter,
Mhm.
YouTube. Go to those places. We're also on podcast directories,
Mhm.
so Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Take your pick and a number of podcast directories. Leave a review if you would. That would be much appreciated. And Killing the Flower. They wrote our theme song. So you can check them out on Spotify, Instagram, and YouTube as well. They're supposed to be putting a new song out soon. So
Oh,
hopefully that
excellent.
hopefully that hits quickly. And yeah, otherwise that's been Popcast on the Rocks, episode 103. And Andrea, thanks once again for
Mhm.
joining me.
Of course, as always. Cheers, everybody.